Hey guys, LazyMan here. Hey, I've received several requests to go ahead and show how I disassemble the Antec 1200. So anyway, that's what we're going to be looking at today. And also several people have asked me, what do I do to prepare or prior to painting? So we're going to be going through the steps that I take. So anyway, let's get started with this. Alright guys, the first thing I like to do is just take a look at the case and determine what kind of peripherals I'm going to be putting in here. Before we even get to putting the motherboard in and determining whether we need to cut additional cable management holes, I'd like to just take a look at the case, and determine how many hard drives are going to be in there, how many optical drives, whether there's going to be a fan controller, any other peripherals that are going to require additional wiring. And we need to know that up front so we can determine if we need to drill additional holes to be able to route those wires. Alright, starting with the inside here, every case is going to be a little bit different, and the Antec 1200 being no exception to that rule. So anyway, this is just a guide just to give you an idea of what you need to look for and what steps you need to take to prepare for cable management. And I know down here in this bottom tray here I'm going to have two velociraptors. And to get the wiring to run back through the motherboard tray on the back side, of course we're going to have to drill a hole through this hard drive cage. And the unique thing about the Antec 12 or the Antecs, the 300, 900 and 1200s, are they have this double wall housing. So you're going to have to drill through both of these, and then along with the motherboard tray back there, you'll have to drill through that. Then up in this bay here, I know we're going to have a storage drive, and so to get the wires, I could drill through the side of the panel, but I think it's going to be easier to drill through the bottom and bring the wires down through the bottom tray, and then run them out this hole here. And then if we go up to the top here, not sure if there's going to be anything up in this housing. This is for future use. I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole, as you can see on the side there. Don't know if the client's going to want to install an additional peripheral there, but just in case he does, we have the cable management hole already drilled. It'll make it that much easier to run the wires. And then finally at the top here, we know we're going to have an optical drive, we're going to have a fan controller, and if he goes with the sound card that comes with the 5 1/4 bay control panel, then that's going to be housed up here also. So there's going to be several wires coming through here, and so we're going to need to put a hole again in the side of the side panel there so we can get the cables to run in the back. And then if we take a look at the it's going to be a little hard to see, the lighting's not as good, but we've got the front panel connections coming down. And let me see if I can adjust the lighting here real quick. Alright, so there you can see, they come down over the top of the the optical drive housing, and they really don't give you a hole to route these. So I know we could possibly drill a hole in the top of the panel there, bring them down, and then run them through the hole here on the side that we're going to be drilling. But the problem with that being is once you put your optical drive in, your fan controller, and then your your sound card control panel, those wires are going to be running right into them. So what I've decided to do is, I'll show you on the back side here. Alright, as you can see on the back side here, we're going to bring our front panel connections right through here. There's actually about an inch of, this panel here is recessed about an inch back. So that's going to give me room to actually cut a slot in here and bring those front panel connections down through here and then back down through the motherboard tray. So that ought to work out pretty good. And then if we look down here, this will be for the hole for the optical drives, the fan controller and such. This will be a future hole. Again, not sure if the client's going to put something in that center bay, but if he does, he'll have a hole for it. And then down on the bottom, we'll have the hole for the hard drives. The one thing I want to bring to your attention is that, with the hard drive housings being double walled, and then you've got to go through this panel. You want to make sure these holes all line up. So my suggestion would be, you know, first of all, remove the hard drive cage, drill this hole, put the hard drive cage back in, and then either mark it or pre-drill it so you get a good reference to where to drill through that hard drive cage. It's important that all of these line up. You know, you don't want them kind of staggered. So anyway, that's it. The other one we have is the one way up here in the right hand corner. And what this one is here is for this 230 millimeter fan here on top. This one here, I don't know if it's 230 or 250, but this fan connection runs down through and it goes over to the switch in the back here. And what I'm going to do is drill another hole right here. I'm going to bring the cable out through here and then back in through here, and then, you know, plug it back into the switch. You know, it's not a, and it's a minor thing. I mean, it's a small little wire that can actually be tucked up in the corner here. But I figure if I'm going to be pulling out the drill and drilling these holes anyway, to add an additional hole here in the corner, it'll just make it that much nicer. Alright guys, at this point we need to go ahead and start stripping this down. And what I like to do is remove everything I possibly can at this point before moving forward. You know, such as these two fans in the back, you know, the I/O shield, the expansion slot covers, you know, the fan, the mesh housing here, the hard drive cages, this fan bracket right here. And we'll also go ahead and remove all the front panel covers. So anyway, what we'd like to do is get this completely stripped down, and then what we'll do is go ahead and pull out the motherboard, and we'll mock that up on the motherboard tray and see if we need to make any additional holes for better cable management. So anyway, let me go ahead and strip this down, and we'll talk to you in a bit. Alright, I went ahead and mocked up the motherboard inside the case here, and I wanted to set this up in such a way that you guys could see exactly what I'm seeing. And I know the picture quality isn't quite as sharp as I'd like it to be, but you know, I'll tell you, I've been messing around with the different angles, different lighting for well over an hour. You know, almost closer to 2 hours, and this is about the best I could come up with. You know, other than me holding the camera in my hand and filming it, and you know, come on. I'm a lazy man. It's either a tripod or nothing. So anyway, this is what we got. Anyway, this board actually works really well in this case here. And as you can see here, if we start up here on the left-hand side, the two 8-pin connectors will come right through this hole here and tie right in there. That'll be really nice. This hole here, there's really nothing I can see at this time that needs to come, you know, any wires that need to come through there. A concern I had was this hole here in relation to the 24-pin connector there. It'd have been nice if, you know, they weren't offset, but instead of me drilling into the hole or extending that one, I'd like to just leave the one that's already there. So what I did is I went ahead and mocked up the power supply, made sure that the cable would actually come in and tie into that, and it worked, so I think we're going to be okay with that. The other ones are the SATA connectors here. You know, one is missing the hole, but I don't think that's a major deal. So those will go through those holes here. Where we do need to drill holes are for the front panel connectors. And even though they have a hole down here, and I guess their intention was to run all the wires through there and, you know, over to all the connectors, but that's not the way we're going to do things. What we're going to do is we're going to drill either individual holes, you know, for the, you know, power switch or the power and the reset switches, you know, the USB connectors, the firewire, either separate holes or maybe one long slotted hole. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. And then way over here we're going to have to drill a hole. Over here they've got the front panel audio. So we'll have to drill a hole here, bring that cable and tie into there. Then lastly, what we need to do is the Antec 1200 doesn't come with a cutout for your retention plate on your cooler. So now that we're actually going to be modifying the motherboard tray, let's go ahead and we're going to cut out a nice opening for that retention plate. And I think the client will be really happy about that. You know, we don't know in the future that he may want to change coolers, he may want to go water cooling, you know, whatever it may be. You know, this will save him a lot of time, a lot of headaches, and, you know, a lot of effort. So we're going to go ahead and cut that out and I think he should be pretty happy with that. But other than that, this is a pretty nice setup. So anyway, guys, we're going to have to wrap this one up. I know I'm running short, so what we'll do next time is we'll go ahead and have all these marked out. We'll start drilling holes in here, and we'll start de-riveting the case. So anyway, until next time, this is LazyMan.